now that we have this cut out, what I also did, I went off camera and I cut out the smaller version. And so I think what we would do is go ahead and select a lining. Now I like this lining here, and I may use this one, this lining for this particular, for the small one here. For the larger one, I chose this one here. Not really crazy about it, but both of these are cotton. But I think I'll use this lining. Well, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and use this lining in both bags. So, and my zippers, what I've chosen for the zippers is, for the larger one, I'm going to use a zipper with metal teeth, which will go like this. And I think for the smaller one, I'm going to use a zipper with plastic teeth. But I think what I would also do, this is very small, but I think I'm going to go ahead and just put a little side pocket in here, just like we did this one. And also I think what I want to do is put another piece of leather on here to give it just to give it some contrast. Just to give it some contrast. And I'm going to also cut out the window for the, not the window, but the flap for the zipper window. But I want to give this a different look than just this solid brown. But first, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and cut out the lining. So my measurement for my lining, I'll do the large one first. So basically what I'm going to do is, I'm going to cut out two pieces, and I'm going to make, this window here is 7.5 inches. But I think what I'm going to do is make it, I'm going to make it 8. No, I'm going to make it 7 5/8. I'll make it 7 5/8. And I only want it to drop down before it gets to the top of this window here. So I'm going to make it 7 5/8 by 6 inches. 7 5/8 by 6 inches. I'm not going to actually make a pattern. I'm going to just cut that out without making a pattern. So 7 5/8 by 6 inches. So 6, we have about 6 inches here. 7 5/8. Since this is the fold, I'm going to leave, I'm going to cut it out 8 inches because I'm going to cut that fold. So I'm going to cut out 8 inches by 6. So this is going to be the lining for the top. Now I need to take measurements for the lining for the pocket. Now the measurement for my pocket, Since my window is 6 5/8, I'm going to cut out my pocket lining at 7 1/4. I only wanted to drop down 7 1/4 by 4 inches. So I'm going to do a 7 1/4 by 4 inches. Now because the fabric is already folded, I'm just cutting both pieces at the same time. So 7 1/4 by 4 inches. So here's my 4 inches and 7 1/4 by 4 inches. So this will be my pocket, the lining for my pocket. This will be the lining for the bag itself. That's not right. No, I made a mistake. I don't know why I made this so short. This really needs to be, I don't know what I was thinking about. This really needs to be 8 by I'll make this here 8 by 11 1/2. I really don't know what I was thinking about. Okay, 8 by 11 1/2. 8 by 11 1/2. Go from here. Cut this off first. Okay, so I need to get an 8 by 11 1/2. By 11 1/2, so I have my 11 1/2. 11 1/2 by 8. Okay. I really don't know what I was thinking back there. So this would be the lining for the bag. And this would be the lining for the pocket. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to make a window. So I'm basically going an inch and a half from the top. Well, an inch and a half from this right here, which is the top. And then I'm going to do a 1/4 of an inch opening. So basically the same thing I did for the large one. And I'm going to go, just to give myself some room, I'm going to go 3/4 of an inch, well, 1 inch from the side. And that will become my window, a zipper. Cut this out. Okay, now once I have this, now I'm going to cut my pocket out for this. So for the little bag itself, I'm going to cut the pocket out 6 6 1/4. I better make that a little wider. I'm gonna make it 6 1/2. 6 1/2 by 4 1/2. Okay, 6 1/2 by 4 1/2. Okay. 6 1/2. That's it right there. 6 1/2 by 4 1/2. I need to go 4 1/2 high, 6 1/2 wide. So I need to go 4 1/2. 4 1/2 by 6 1/2. So this is the lining for the bag, and the lining for the pocket needs to be 5 1/2 by 5 1/2 by 2 3/4. 5 1/2 by 2 3/4. So 2 3/4. 2 3/4 by 5 1/2. Okay, so this is going to be the lining for the outside pocket. This is going to be the lining for the bag itself. Now that we have these cut out, the next thing we're going to do is pin them to the zipper and sew the lining to the zipper, and then attach the zipper to the bag. I think what I'm going to go ahead and do is cut the piece for the window, for the zipper window, that's going to cover it. So I need a piece that is, I'm going to cut it just a little wider, so I'm going to cut this. The window itself is 6 5/8. I'm going to cut it 7 inches by 1 inch. So just kind of show you how this is done. 7 inches by 1 inch. Let's see, can I get it here? Yes, 7 inch by 1 inch. Cut this 1 inch. 1 inch wide. So now I need this to be 7 inches. We'll square this off. Seven inches. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to fold this. This will be glued and folded. And then this will go underneath. And that will make our zipper. You know, I think I need to make that. I think I need to make that 7 inches by 1.5 inches. I'm going to need a little more, for it to be a little wider in order to sew that. And I'll show you what I'm talking about once I glue it and get ready to sew it. I'm going to make this 1.5 inches wide instead of 7 inches. I mean, instead of 1 inch. This will be folded. Would go underneath here. Like that. That's going to cover the window. So, well, at least I have a 1 inch and I have a 1.5 inches. So whichever one works the best. So the next thing we're going to do, we're going to pin, and then we will start to sew the. Okay, now we're going to start the pinning process. So this is the lining for the bag. This is the zipper. And I think I'm going to have the zipper to stop on this end. I think I have the zipper stop on this end. You can do it on either end, but I think it's better for me to do it this way. And just also keep in mind, other people will make the same bag and they will use a different process of how they put their bag together. So, the zipper will lay like this. So which means when you open it, you need to see the inside of the lining. So that's what you need to see when you open it. So that means we're going to pin the lining from the face of the lining to the back of the zipper, and you want to pin it up as close as possible to the edge of the zipper. And I'm also going to pin it to where the zipper will go a little past the stopper itself. So I'm going to pin it. And I'm pinning so my pins are going outward. So in that way, when I sew it, the needle will go over the pins. If you pin it this way, you wouldn't be able to sew it. So I'm going to pin this. I want it to be as close as possible to the edge of the zipper, and as even as possible to where the edge of the zipper and the edge of your lining is as even as possible. Then now what I'll do the other side. But push this all the way through. Like I said, everybody have their own way of doing this. I'm just showing you the way I do it. Now I would take this, put this one face down, line it up, put it face down, and now I'll pin this side. Now I'm going to go off camera and I'm going to pin the pocket zipper, and I'm going to also pin the small bag the same way. I'm not going to bore you with showing you the same process 3 more times. And then we will sew this. Okay, now that we have all the linings, pin to the zipper, we're going to sew the lining to the zippers. Then once we do that, we will sew the zipper to the bags. So that's the next thing we'll do, is that we will sew the zippers. Well, we'll sew the lining to the zippers and then the zippers to the bag. Okay, now that we have the lining pinned to the zipper, and keep in mind the way this was pinned is that the front side of the lining is pinned to the back side of the zipper. So which means that when you open it, when you open the zipper, you will see the finished side of the fabric. So just keep that in mind. So when you pin this together, you're pinning the face of the fabric to the back of the zipper. Now I'm just using a regular home sewing machine. If you don't have one, you can use your industrial sewing machine. It's just that the industrial sewing machine can beat your fabric up. And if you can find an older model home sewing machine, it will work just fine. I mean, that's what this is. This is an older model, and a zipper foot would work better, but you don't have to have a zipper foot. And what I'm doing, I am sewing as close to the edge as possible. So what I'll do, now I'm going to do a back stitch to lock that in. And like I said, I'm sewing as close to the edge as possible. Now I'll do a back stitch where I stop. So I'm as close to the edge as I possibly can get. So I'm going to take my pins out. I'll sew the other side, and I'll show you what that is going to look like. Now I'll sew the other side. Let me reset this so it's much even than what I have it. So I do my back stitch. Okay, now I'll show you what this will look like when I put it inside the bag. Cut this thread off so it doesn't jam up my zipper. Let's see, I think this is, no, it's for this one. So to kind of show you what this one looked like, so when the zipper is inside the bag, which will be like this, and then when you open it, you will see a finished look. So when you open it, that's what you will see. So that's why you want to make sure that you sew your zipper, well, sew your lining, the face to the back side of the zipper. So when you open it up, well, then you will see a finished lining. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and finish sewing the rest of these. This orange. I have 4 more to sew. Instead of boring you with that, I'm going to go ahead and sew them, and then when we finish, and then I will show you the next step. Reset this. Okay, now what we will do, we will sew the zippers to the bag, and we can start putting the bag together. It's very simple to do. They really don't take long to make, and again, you can do them in any size, as large as you want and as small as you want, to where they can become like a clutch, they can become like a across the shoulder bag. So that's what we'll do next, is that we will start to put the zippers inside the bags. Okay, now that we have the zippers and lining sewn together, so the next step would be is to attach the lining and zipper to the bag. So I think what we will do is start off with the pocket zipper. And so what I will do, I think I will put it to where the zipper is going to zip from right to left on this one here. So basically what I will do is I'm going to glue around the zipper window, and I'm using a contact cement glue. In order to attach the zipper to the bag. I'll let that dry for a minute, because when it's wet, if I put it on and I have to pull it up, it's gonna make a mess. But if I let it dry, it'll just become tacky. And I think in the process, I will go ahead and do my gluing around the top of the bag so that can be drying also. And you don't need a lot. What I do is that I spread it very thin. And like I said before, you may have your own way of making these bags. I know other people do. I'm just showing you the way that I do it. And like I say, they're very simple to make. Let's see, I'm going from the right side, so this will lay down this way. So I would take my zipper, turn this over because I don't want to make a mess. Now I think what I should have done to give it a more finished look, and that is I should have edge coat around here brown, and that would give it a finished look. But because I did not, I'm not going to stop and go back and do that, but just for the sake of the video and time. But that's what I should have done now that I look at it. It'll just give it a more of a finished look. So basically what I'm doing, I'm just taking my zipper and position it inside the zipper window. And I don't want the leather to be right up against the teeth. So I want to give it some space so when I zip it, it's not too tight. If you put the leather too close up to the teeth, when you zip it, you can have problem opening and closing the zipper. So that is what my zipper would look like. And now I would do the top part. So I'll do the same thing. And I want to make sure that the zipper is pulled all the way up to the zipper stopper, to where the leather will stop the zipper from going any further. I guess I can just lay this down and put my bag on top. There we go. Like I said, I don't want my leather to be too close or right up against the zipper teeth. Now when I sew this, I'm only going to sew up so far, because I'm going to pull the zipper down when I close off the side. See if I can open this up a little more. And even though my lining is wider here, that will be trimmed off. So we have that one glued. Now I will glue the other one. And the same thing, I'm going to put just a little glue around the zipper window. Now what I'll do, I'll go ahead and attach this, and once we have the zippers attached, and then we will start to sew. Okay, now we're finishing up putting the zipper in the zipper window. Now the one thing that I did forget to do, and I just thought about it, and that is I need to it's not close enough. I need to put the flap over the zipper window that I said I was going to show you how to do. And I totally forgot about it. Which is, I'm going to take this flap and I'm going to put it over this zipper window here. See here. I think I'll go with this wider one. I think this one was 1.5 inches, and I think this was 1 inch. So I think I'm going to go with 1.5 inches. So what we'll do, we will start to sew these, and I think what I'll do is go ahead and glue this first. And then when we start to sew, I can do the contrast stitching and then sew it inside of the window. And basically what I would do, I would glue it and I will fold this before I insert it. I'm going to stitch here and give it a top stitch, and then I would insert this inside. So now we'll go to the sewing machine and start sewing. Okay, so what we're going to do now is, first thing I'll do, I'll go ahead and sew this flap, which will go over the zipper window, and I'm sewing it at a 1/4 of an inch seam. I think it's a little long, so I will have to cut some of it off, but so this would actually go underneath here. So I'm going to put this so we might have to go back and re-glue this. But this is going to go underneath. So I am going to take off about a 1/4 of an inch. So I took off about a 1/4 of an inch, and I just want to make sure when I sew that this is even all the way across. So if I turn it like this, I could gauge it much better than how even it is. Bring this out just a little bit. So I think that's the way I'm going to sew it. I'll just sew this across here and all the way around. But first, you know what? I'm going to sew this first. Now, I'll go ahead and sew this first so it's not disturbed while I'm sewing. So, I want to make sure that my lining is out of my way, and the pocket lining, one is going one way and one is going the other way, because if I do it like this, I'll sew through it. So I want to make sure my pocket lining is out of the way and is flat. I think I'll start here. I'm going to change foot. I need my zipper foot. I need the zipper foot on, so I'll change my foot. So in that way, I have the right foot to work with. I'm using the right side zipper foot. You have a left and a right. I'm using the right. And if you do not have a zipper foot for your sewing machine, I found the best prices at Sunny Sewing compared to what everyone else was selling them for. We had purchased these right here from another company, and they was like 20 bucks, 18, 19, 20 bucks. And I think at Sunny Sewing they was like, well, they was a lot less. I put it that way. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I know it was a lot less. Okay, now that we have the zipper foot on, I'm going to sew this. Like I said, I want to make sure that my lining is not in the way. I'm going to zip my zipper back up out of my way. Even though my zipper is too long, it will be cut when I finish. When I sew across teeth, I just make sure I take my time . Okay, now that I'm coming up on where the zipper is, I'll leave the needle down inside, and I will zip my zipper back away from the foot. Okay, so I think I'm going to go about a half of a stitch more. And that's what that looks like. Let me burn this. So that's how you put that flap over your window. And I'll probably put like a zipper puller here so I wouldn't have to raise this up to zip it and to unzip it. Okay, now I'll sew the top zipper. And like I said, I want to make sure that my lining is out of the way when I sew this. I'm going to start at least a quarter of an inch in. Okay. And you can make a judgment on your stitch of how close you're going to stitch to the edge of your leather. Now when I get to this point, I'll just raise the foot with the needle down inside and unzip the zipper so I can get past it. I think I'm going to do about a half of a stitch. Now what I may end up have to do, I may end up have to take out a couple of stitches so the zipper will drop down when I get ready to close up the sides. But for now I'm going to go ahead and just sew across, and I think it's maybe about a quarter of an inch. away from the side of the bag. Like I said, we're going to trim off this part here. So when we open this, see, why is that? Oh, I've got my lining. See, I didn't pull my lining down far enough. See how I missed it here, and I'm sewing over the top of my lining here. So what I have to do, I got to go back, pull out those stitches, and redo this. One mistake that the one thing I did not do, I did not go and press this down to where this is out of the way, and that's why that's in the way. So all of this have to come out. So it looks good on the top, but it's not good on the bottom. So I'm going to have to pull all this out and restitch this. Okay, now I have to go back and pull this zipper out, and really I made two mistakes. One was that I did not iron my fabric to where it would lay down, and so when I would sew it, I would not sew through my fabric. The other thing is I did not pull my zipper over far enough, and when I said I was going to go back and trim this off, I don't know what I was thinking about, because I shouldn't have to do that. I just did not put my zipper in correctly with my lining. I mean, this is, nothing matches up. I mean, this is going in an angle, and I mean, nothing matches up. I don't even know what I was thinking about. So anyway, I'm going to pull out this thread, and then I will reset the zipper and iron the lining the way I should have from the beginning. So in that way you can see exactly the way, see how to do it the right way, because what I did was totally incorrect. Okay, now that we have the thread taken out, I will iron my lining and go back and reset the zipper the correct way, because I did not do that right. Okay, first thing I want to do, pull the zipper out. First thing I want to do is that I need to press my lining so it lays back out of my way. And that's what I call losing focus on what I was supposed to have been doing the right way. So, well, I might as well do this one also, because I'll make the same mistake on this one. it looks like that I need to go back and re-sew this one because I have this one here totally off. This is not lined up the way it should be lined up. I just don't know what I was thinking about. Same thing here. I need to go back and re-sew that one. Correct that. So these two needs to be corrected, but we can go ahead and finish this one up. So what I need to do is make sure that my lining is lined up correctly to where I shouldn't have to trim anything off. So this is where I need to be. So I'm just going to unzip my zipper enough to go through the zipper window. Now this is where it should be. Now the key to going back and sewing this to where it does not look like I had to do it twice is that I would have to sew back through the same holes that I originally sewed in order to correct my problem without it look like that there was a problem. Okay, that's where I need to be. So I'll go back and re-sew this. I'll go back and re-sew it. I'm not going to bore you with showing you how to sew it again. Well, I guess I will, because I'm going to go back through the same holes so you can see how I go back through the same holes that I sewed in originally. So we'll sew this. Okay, I'm going to re-sew this, and the key to it is going back through the same holes that I originally sewed in. I did not re-glue this. I probably should have, but I'm going to go back through my same holes. Back stitch. And basically what I'm doing is I am looking at my needle and trying to keep my needle in line with the holes that I had already sewn through. So in that way, you don't see the pre-punched holes. So at this point, I'm going to zip my zipper back . Like I say, I should have glued this back down. That would allow me to hold it in place. I don't know why I did not glue that. It made things a lot easier for me. Yep, I should have glued it down. So I'm just making this more difficult for me. Okay. Let's see how this turned out. Okay, that's much better. So now, when we open this, we will see a nice clean lining that I did not stitch onto the zipper. So this is what it's going to look like. Now what I'll do is I will correct the mistakes that I made on the smaller version, and I'll go ahead and sew it. I'm not going to bore you with showing you how I sewed that one because it's the same process. So the next thing we'll do, we'll cut our zippers, and then we will make the D-ring holders, and then that would allow us to go ahead and sew the bag, the sides together, and we'll make the strap, and it'll be done. That is it for this bag. It's really not a lot to do. Okay, now that I went back and I re-stitched around the zipper and reset my lining to where now when I close this, well, when I sew this up, it's even. Now, the other thing that I did, I went off camera and took care of something else, and that was I had stitched my lining to the zipper to where it was off-centered from one side to the other side, and the same thing for the pocket. So I went back and re-stitched it to the zipper to where it's lined up the way it should be. So I did not record it, you know, I didn't want to bore you with that, but sewing the pocket into this was the same as sewing the pocket into this one here. Now, one thing I think I am going to do, and that is I'm going to just add a couple of pieces of leather to the front of this to give it some depth. It's just plain, and I want to just do something different with it. This one here, I'm going to cut a wristlet that you will be able to hold it or stick your hand through it and hold it. This one here, I'm going to attach some little half-inch D-rings. So what I'll do, I think what I'll do is that I will put a piece of leather. Matter of fact, I'm going to do two pieces. I'm going to do one that is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 inches by 5 inches, and then I'll do a piece 2.5 by 2.5 out of a different color. So I'm going to do the 5 by 5. And I'll just use this ruler here to do that. I'm going to do my 5 by 5. I did that wrong. This should be the 2.5 by 2.5. So I'm going to do 5 by 5. Matter of fact, I'll just make it 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll do it a 4 by 4. Nope. I'll do the 3 by 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm gonna do it 4 by 3. And this one I will do a 5 by 5. I just want to give it some depth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 by 5. So I think I'll put this here. This here. Well, I should have been paying attention because, you know what? I'll just brand that. But this has something on it. Let me recut that. 5 by 5. this will go on like this. I think what I'll do, I'll round off corners. I just want to give it some depth. This will give it some depth, just so it's just not so plain. So what I'll do, I will stitch this piece to this one, and then I will stitch this one to the bag, just to give it some depth. It just a little too plain. I want to make sure. Okay, that's what we'll do next. I'll go ahead and glue this. To this piece here. And I'm just using some contact cement glue. But you know what? I think I need to mark this. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and glue this. You know what? Let's see, I gotta put my watch back on. I'm gonna take off my watch when I redid my stitching. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to mark this. So when I glue it, I'll have some idea. And I'm just using these little scissors just to mark the leather, so I don't have to use a pen or a pencil. So I have something that I can see, but it's not so heavy that you can see it after it's been stitched. Like I said, I'm using this contact cement glue to glue this on. And I can barely see where I marked it, but this helps me put it back in place. Let's see here. I think what I'm gonna do, I'm going to go ahead and glue this piece on, so in that way I don't have to sew this, glue it on, then sew it. What I'll do, I'll go and glue this piece on, sew it, and then sew this piece here to where it stays. So this, I'm not going to use a ruler, I'm just going to eyeball it. I wouldn't recommend you do that, but if you feel comfortable with doing that, it's okay. I'm just going to mark this just so I have something that I could use. And these are little cutters that we use when we do embroidery. We use to cut the embroidery thread. So I'm going to glue this. Let this dry for a minute. So when I put it on, if I have to pull it off, it doesn't make a mess. So we'll let it dry for a minute. Okay. It's 2 inches. Okay. I'll let this dry and then I will sew it. So this kind of gives us some depth. It was just a little too plain for me. So this will give us some depth. We'll sew this, cut the zipper, sew the lining to the side. Oh, the other thing I need to do is that I need to cut out the wristlet, which I'm going to make it 9.5 inches by, if I make it 9.5 inches by 1 inch, because I'm going to fold it. That's not long enough. I need to make it longer than that. It's very, very small. I can always cut it back. Okay, 1 inch. So what I'll do, I'll glue this and I'll just fold this and I think for the larger bag, I'll probably use a chain for the strap. I could use leather and do the same thing like I'm doing this. I can just do it as a 1 inch wide and fold it and sew it. But I think I'm gonna use chain for the strap. And what this will be a wristlet that will fit in like this. So it'll be like that. So we'll stitch. I'm going to cut some of this off because it is too long. I think this is about long enough here. Now this is, see how long this is? This is 11 inches long. But you can use your own judgment on how long you want your wristlet to be. So we'll stitch these two pieces, the strap, and attach the overlay, and then we will start putting everything, start sewing up the lining and the bag itself.